Hey everyone, as he said, for those of you whom I haven't met yet, I'm Kintan. This section is essentially the set of conversations, the next hour or so. It's focused on very pragmatic things that we can apply right away, maybe right now, later today, after going back or so on. And this is a peer group, so to inform the set of next conversations, we asked many of you, you know who you are, and other folks, other product leaders in our circles as to what's the most important thing they do on a day-to-day basis. And the answer there was make decisions. So then we went one step deeper. Say, hey, tell us about the decisions. What are the explicit and implicit decisions? What are the nuances of making decisions? And we looked at their answers, and the top 3 themes that emerged, we asked, we hunted for the best people we could find to talk about those. The first theme was a generic decision-making framework, but from a product lens, from a product perspective. What are the types of decisions you make in the beginning of a product cycle, in the middle of a product cycle, towards the end, after the product is shipped, and so on. The second one that was actually very common amongst product leaders was, hey, what is this thing called growth? Do I need a separate growth team? What's a PM versus a growth PM? Do I really need a growth PM? If the growth team is working on growth, what is the rest of the product team doing? And the last was about instilling customer obsession. So there's a lot of lip service being paid to thinking about customers. Textbook PM 101 is, yes, we need to build the right features at the right time for the right customers and so on. But what does it really mean, not at a 101 level, what does it really mean to obsess about customers? So Chris Phillips, my friend and mentor from Pandora, is going to talk about the first theme. Then Elena from SurveyMonkey is going to focus on growth. I'll share a few thoughts on customer obsession, and then I'll call Chris and Elena back for a conversation with the whole group. Sounds like a plan? Thanks again. Chris?
All right, thank you, Kintan.
Thank you.
Wow, I'm thrilled to be here with all of you, and I got set up perfectly by the end of the last presentation. Do you guys remember the top 3 brands that were listed? Apple, Amazon, Google. Guess where Pandora is on that same list that was published? We're number 11, so you had to scroll past the top 10. Spotify dropped out of the top 50 actually this past year, and they pointed to innovation momentum as being the reasons why consumers are lifting these brands up. The other interesting fact around those 3 companies is that they represent some of our biggest competitors at Pandora. I don't think anybody really signs up to go compete directly against the 3 monsters, the big companies that have all that firepower. But it's a great fight. And at Pandora, we really, 10 years ago, brought personalized radio at scale to the world, to the market, to the US actually. I shouldn't say to the world, because we're primarily US. And now we're embarking on the next generation of Pandora. And really it's about driving new innovation, and there's been a drumbeat of new things that we've been launching and releasing. And ultimately I want to talk about that. My screen's going to show up. Am I going to have the the luck of Gib?
You're on slide 1.
There we go, driving new innovation. Did I? Okay. So driving innovation is kind of what we've been working on. And listen, driving innovation is inherently risky. It's hard. There's all kinds of challenges that as a product leader, you're meant to help shepherd the organization. And I love the comments that were made earlier around being a servant to the organization, not just engineering, but to the business teams, to all the things that are involved in bringing a product to market. Very few of us work in a company where we can define the offering, code it, ship it, test it, market it, sell it, scale it on our own. So we have to be great at facilitating and leading. And we can't lead with just, I believe, I think, let's try. You really have to tackle new innovation in a very specific way. And so let's talk about that. There's some steps to success that I want to share with you. There's 3 of them. And then I'm going to unpack that with a specific example that we've recently launched at Pandora. The first is simplify the most important required questions up front. Really nail down, what do we really need to make sure we understand up front? There are a million things that you can ask, so don't get lost in all the questions, but force yourself to think through those questions and partner with your go-to-market teams, with your engineering teams, to kind of really dig those out. The second is, for each of those questions that matter, form a strong hypothesis. Think about what would we measure to actually know if our answer is even right. Get people excited about how the method and the approach you're going to apply to actually answer those questions and determine if they're right or wrong. And then be obsessed with going back and validating those and learning them. And be okay that you learned something and need to make a change. It's okay. Be all right with, hey, this is working, this is not. But bring these three things to life and focus on those questions, your hypothesis, and the learning. And it's not about, I told you I was right. It's actually about celebrating the data and then making the next choice. So let's go into this with an example. This example will kind of give you context, because in every new innovation, every new product, every company you're at, there's context of where you're sitting, what you're doing, and why a product makes sense or not. This product called Ampcast. Ampcast is a tool that actually hangs off the artist marketing platform, which is a capability that Pandora has released for the music industry to promote themselves on Pandora. This specific product is actually tucked inside of the Pandora app, where if you're an artist, you can go in the Pandora app and there's an Easter egg. You can actually record an audio message, attach a photo to it, link it to a song, and actually publish it out to listeners. So when they thumb up a song or they hear a song, the message will play and you'll hear directly from the artist. Brand new, has not been done, and it's got a digital call to action on it in most cases. So it's really exciting, and you'll see here on the left this image. This is what it looks like for G-Eazy, where they can right away see the listeners that he has on the platform, get back to previous messages that happened. We have credibility to do this with artists. You know, when you have to get the artist community to come engage with technology and marketing, you better have a good reason. And it starts with they want to connect with their fans that they know they have, and they want to get new fans. Very simple. So the scale that we have at Pandora, being the largest music streaming service in the US, 100 million quarterly listeners, close to 80 million monthly, and 2.2 million people are using Pandora at any moment in the day. If you add up all their digital streaming services in the US, Spotify, iHeart, and so forth, they're about 1.8 million any given moment. So that shows you the scale and the size. We also have deep engagement. More people spend time in Pandora than any other mobile app. Guess what's number 2? This is all per ComScore. Facebook. Facebook's number 2. So a lot of time spent by a lot of people. And really, we had to think about what is the benefits. This product was, hey, get artists to engage, and it's interesting, the network effect we talked earlier, you have to get people on both sides of the equation to kind of engage. Hey, artists, you can reach a bunch of your fans. You can grow them. You can promote yourself. Hey, listeners, we have to protect the listener experience. The consumer experience on Pandora is critical. So, hey, why is this valuable for them? They can hear from their favorite artist. They can learn where they're going to be playing next, things like that. And then for most of you, I think, you're accountable back to your shareholders or your investors. How are you going to monetize that? Why is that a good business decision? What's the ROI? Very difficult. But as product leaders, you bring those benefits together and you think about, and at Pandora, being a publicly traded company, and really the only scaled music service that is a music business only that's public, we get scrutinized quite a bit. So we better be right or move quickly. So we want to do innovation, but we can't be scared, and we have to kind of move quickly. So let's look at an example with G-Eazy. Anybody know Young Gerald G? Any G fans? You gotta go check him out. He's actually, he went to Berkeley High. He's a local boy. He's been blowing up over the last year. You've probably heard the song Me, Myself, and I, but he's done a bunch of things. And really, when young Gerald, we were trying to talk to him about promoting himself on Pandora, he's like, I know you guys are you're big, but my audience are not using Pandora. They're somewhere else. You know? And so we said, well, let's look at it. And a company we acquired, Next Big Sound, actually pulls all social activity together. And it turned out that at the time, and still, young Gerald, if you add up all of the people that follow him on his social networks, they're about the same as people who have gone into Pandora and actually seeded a G-Eazy station. Not just heard the songs, but actually have a jump-off called G-Eazy. So, wow, that's a lot of fans. But listen, my target is 13 to 24-year-old girls. And are they there? What's in that 5 million? Well, we showed them the data, and guess what? 13 to 24-year-old girls and a handful of dads, because I have a 15-year-old and 10-year-old daughter. So he was in at that moment. He realizes there's an audience there. He can do something. So let's listen to G talk about the Ampcast.
I mean, I'm always on the road, playing shows, touring, in the studio. Lately, I've been using Amcast to spread the word. I just record a quick audio note, send it out, and it plays on Pandora in between my songs to all my listeners. I mean, it's as easy as it can possibly be. Pandora's changed the game with this one.
So it worked for G. Look at the engagement of people who are hearing his messages. Look at the click-through, 8.88%. That's astonishing. And if you ask G and his G-Eazy and his management team and the folks that do marketing, he'll tell you this is the best performing marketing they've done by far. And they do marketing on Facebook and other places. And it comes with a relationship. So pretty exciting. And let's actually go in and unpack and go back and take this example and show you how we applied these steps to success. So simplifying the required questions. There's 4 questions that we really started with that we had to make sure we were clear on. Now, a lot of you, when you go to do a new product, there's some insight that's there that's kind of leading you to why this might work, but there might be some inherent risk, there might be less risk. For us, will artists actually do this? And so it wasn't clear. A lot of them, when they do promotion and they do marketing, it's because their manager drags them in and they have to do it and it's part of the deal. But would they organically actually use this was a key question. Would listeners like it? Is it going to be perceived as interruptive, annoying? Would the quality be bad? There was a bunch of things that we had to ask ourselves. We also said, what's the most compelling set of features? We knew it had to be drop dead simple. We didn't want to ship anything minimum, definitely not anything that's barely viable. We wanted it to be compelling out of the gate. What did that mean? We asked ourselves, should we build a separate app? Pandora has a massive audience. We're an ad-supported business. Blips in our ad capacity because a new feature is causing a bug cost us millions of dollars. So tucking in a feature into the core app, maybe we should just build a separate app for artists. We asked ourselves, how are we going to drive adoption? We know we have to get that flywheel going. We know we want people to use something that's very different. It's a new behavior. Now there's insight that says it could make sense. A lot of these artists use social, they do marketing. What if we could kind of make it feel the same? But we really had to figure out how to drive adoption and what was our monetization? We were not going to charge, and we don't charge artists for this directly, so we have an indirect monetization. So in each of these, we developed our hypothesis. And we actually really worked hard to figure out what were the core metrics that we were going to watch and monitor. And artists who actually post, who do we actually get using it? The variety of artists too. Big artists, young artists, like emerging artists. How are we going to actually kind of make sure this is something that works not just for the established artists, but also for the long tail? Because we're really proud that we actually help a lot of artists get their legs. We're going to look at listener opt-outs. How are we going to understand if people are like, don't do this anymore? What would that mean? The variety of the messages, the click-through rate, and then just overall engagement, repeat use. How did listeners behave? And we set up a path. By the way, one comment on that, we built the dashboards on how to track those metrics, not just during our beta, but at launch. So one of the core features in any new innovation better be how you're going to show your data the moment people start using it. We launch things, we're watching the data on the core metrics out of the gate. It's not a month later, how's it doing? It's that moment we start dialing up. We also asked ourselves, compelling feature set. We knew the data was key. I mentioned the G-Eazy example earlier. He had to get drawn in by the data. The moment they look at their screen and they see how many listeners are actually on Pandora, how many thumbs up they have, it sucks them in. But we didn't want to overwhelm them with data. We have so much data. So what was the core, most important few data elements to actually put in front of them and that call to action to actually record a message? The creation flow had to be simple. We were trying to go for something as easy as a tweet or posting on Instagram, but we knew we had a couple extra steps. But man, if this turns into some workflow product, we're screwed. We also knew there had to be some sense of history. What did I post? How did it do? And then this ability to actually get them back in. So notification engines that once listeners start actually hearing the message, because we controlled when listeners would get it, they would actually get a notification to come back in and check out what's happening with their message. Now, the trigger for a large artist like, Lil Wayne, don't bug him until he's got 100,000 people that have been hearing it. But for a brand new emerging artist, it might be 10 people. So you have to set the triggers based on the artists themselves. And we asked ourselves, do we need geo-targeting? Should we do sharing? Do we let people do drafts? A huge set of features that all had a lot of merit. And we actually did a lot of work to say, well, let's go study it. Let's meet qualitatively with the actual users and really learn. We also, this whole idea of the separate app, pros and cons of that. Building a separate app was going to be faster. Our engineering leader, our CTO, begged me to say, let's do a separate app. I don't want, people might not even use this thing. You're crazy. Artists are not going to do this. Don't put this in the main line of the most used mobile app in the US. You're going to cause bugs and issues, and you're going to put code in that might not get used. It could be throwaway. Then we have to unravel it. A lot of good reasons to do a separate app. Why don't we just learn over here first? But the argument for in the app was to keep the artist close to the listener. The strategic value of having the artist you love using the same app, using Pandora, hearing their own music. If you talk to artists, one of the most delightful moments for them is hearing their songs on the radio, discovering their own music. What's cooler and reinvigorating our brand is to say you can run into your favorite artist on the platform. So there was and we could give ourselves the future to do more additional things with artists on the platform. Tricky one. We also looked at adoption and monetization. We used quant and qual metrics. We were going to actually watch people use it. I'm a huge fan of watching in the wild. We obsessed over the data. I truly don't believe you can just do one or the other. There's nothing better than kind of seeing how those things match up and understanding what does it do to our monetization. Does this feature hurt our ability to show an ad or a message? Is this going to actually, what's going to happen with that? And then making it drop dead simple. We really obsessed over this and spent a lot of time from the wireframe phase to the alpha to the beta and even today, post-launch, and providing the right level of support. Pandora's been fortunate. We've just signed direct deals with all the major labels. That's why we're starting to introduce new subscriptions. We're going to have our on-demand coming out soon because we had always operated as a radio service and now we can do more. What a great opportunity to introduce a tool with the deal. So, what did we learn? Well, the engagement was great. We actually found that this one here was just a simple, no call to action of Monster Men, just telling the story behind the recording of the song and how when they recorded it and they went back and pulled out the drums and they remixed it, they got more thumbs up. They actually had more song completes. A lot of people don't realize new music gets panned. People don't hear, they don't recognize it, they thumb it down, they skip it. So we watch the completion rate. Rachel Patton, I won't try to sing her song, this is my fight song. That's why I'm in product and tech and I'm not a recording artist. But she had a new song, new artist. Very few people had her as a station ad. She's brand new, but she's getting thumbs up. So her recording a message actually established her getting people actually going and adding her as a station, which is huge because when you have your own fans that start with you each time they open the app, that's a big deal. And look at that, an increase in our video ad capacity. That's a big deal. We can monetize and grow while we're doing something special for the artist and the listener. Separate app. I think we made the right choice. We built this feature inside. These artists are now, at South by, we did our beta. You're talking about 75% of the artists didn't even have Pandora on their phone or weren't using it. So immediately, the win was they download Pandora, they actually open it up, and they're like, oh, cool. And they're like listening to music. We're like, go check out this feature. But they actually got to start using Pandora. And we got a shout out. This is the band Yacht. Anybody a Yacht fan? The lead singer actually gave us a shout out on the stage of, thank you, Pandora. I'm so glad you didn't put that new feature inside or in a separate app. Like literally said that on stage. And people were like, Phillips, oh my God. And I'm like, I know, but that's like a great moment as a product person. You look for the little wins. And we've had different, I think we all feel really proud that we took the extra time to do this, especially with the traction it's getting. Now we can get on to the next thing and not wonder, well, if we put it in the main app, will it get used? We're past that. The adoption has been fantastic. So still a new product, but 520 million messages have played. To 80 million unique listeners have heard one of these. We are very careful with frequency capping. We're very careful with not having you hear the message repeatedly. It's very thoughtfully integrated using our serving technology. 5 million listeners have actually engaged and clicked through. Some of these are not just the inspiration. They actually say, I'm playing nearby. What should I want to go see your show. We've had 51% are repeat users. It's easy to get people to try something once. How do you get them to be addicted? And I always tell product folks, be obsessed with getting your product to be an addiction. Click-through rates, and look at the opt-out rate, very low. So we're really, really proud of those metrics. So my last slide here, I want to play a few samples so you guys can hear what these actually sound like. The one thing I raced past, moving really quickly here, was on the compelling feature set. I think I just zipped by that. The Rachel Patton slide, I got so excited about singing to you guys, I didn't really explain. We actually missed a few things. When we did our beta, we realized that not having geo-targeting was wrong. We had not put it in there, and we kept getting feedback. The other idea that people wanted to record it, and they get a chance to look at it, but the idea to save it as a draft, maybe show it to my manager, or get the link that I should put in, there was a save as a draft, became very important. And the idea that I could socially share it. And the way we thought you would socially share was, we were going to do it, but originally the design was actually flawed. We delayed it, and we needed it, and then we had it designed wrong. We were going to have you at the point where you actually publish it, to say publish to Pandora and my social networks. Logical? Actually, what we found was a better way was to let the message go out into the wild, let people start engaging with it, then tell the artist, this message is landing and resonating, now share it. Because the insight there is artists want to be careful not to put something out there, spam, and the moment they know the message is working, they then want to share it. Does that make sense? So these are interesting insights around we learned and then adjusted. So we're going to play these samples here. I think we still are good on time, almost. Oh. Wait. All right, so just, yep, right on the, this is 2 Chainz. Anybody 2 Chainz fans?
What up? It's your player partner checking in. 2 Chainz. And check out my new album featuring Lil Wayne, College Grove. College Park and Holly Grove combined. Yeah. True.
And notice it's not perfectly mastered. There's echo in the background, it's authentic, it's his voice. Let's, Marion Hill, any Marion Hill fans?
What's up? It's Jeremy.
I'm Sam.
We're Marion Hill, and my grandma lives in St. Louis, so we cannot wait to play there for the first time.
We're going to be at the Ready Room on October 4th with lots of sax and lots of bass, so get your tickets now.
That natural discussion has performed better. We did the ones that were recorded, which is what a lot of artists do, and they didn't perform as well as the natural language when they were just doing it on the fly. And then this last one from Moon Taxi, oh, shoot. You know, you can just go to the last slide and then hit play. Go to the last slide, yeah, go down to the product management, we know how to use PowerPoint, right? All right, now go into presentation mode. Oh, no. Yeah. Sorry, everybody. This one's fun.
Hey guys, Moon Taxi here in LaGuardia Airport, about to fly back to Nashville. We had a blast playing on Seth Meyers last night with Quentin Tarantino. Be sure to head to the Seth Meyers website and watch the performance of Year Zero. Take care.
Notice they're in the airport. You hear the airport noise in the back. I mean, it's really special. So, listen, push forward in new innovation. Try these 3 steps to success. Get the group working together. Don't do these in a vacuum. Work with your partners. Engage everybody with you so you can run together to go after these new initiatives. Thank you.